Another day, another ridiculous smartphone deal. This one stopped me in my tracks. There were a couple comments I saw of people saying they picked up an S21 Ultra on Amazon renewed with the 90-day warranty. Link will be in the description. All that fun stuff for $519. I couldn't believe it until I went on myself just now, and it's not $519. So I was correct. It's $489, which is just absolutely ridiculous for a few reasons. We'll talk about them and why you should pick one of these up. I think it's a good idea for a lot of reasons. The first one is the condition you're going to get it in. And my Amazon Renewed experience has always been this, and that's several devices now. Devices that are less or like around a year old, the previous generation directly back, have been in great condition because they were the leased devices. They were overstock that companies had. I don't think that's going to be the case with an S21 Ultra, but there were leased devices that companies traded in, kind of fleet devices where a company had a lot of them and they upgrade every year, whatever the situation happens to be, but they're usually in phenomenal shape because regardless, people are spending $1,100 on a device like this. They're going to put it in a case. They're going to take care of it. And plus, it has to pass that Amazon Renewed process anyway and not look like a mess and not be a mess. And you get on Android, you could check your battery stuff now with Samsung. If you're a Samsung member, you could, in Android 13, you could go in and see the battery life remaining, which is good because you're going to get a guaranteed battery, which about a year old is not going to matter anyway. About 18 months, you're probably going to have a strong battery either way. The other reason for this is just a purely economic reason, like we did with the S22 Ultra. If you are between phones, let's say that you were holding out for the S23 Ultra, but you absolutely needed a device, your device is breaking down, you broke a screen, something happened, and you just need a phone, you're coming from an older device, this is one to pick up for $489. Because if Samsung is super aggressive with their trade-in offers again for the S23 Ultra, I have to believe, like they did with the S22 Ultra, that the trade-in offers are going to be above $489. So you could pick up this device now. I think it was $650 for an S21 or S20 rather Ultra. So you could pick up one of these now for $4 something, use it. And if you don't even need an S23 Ultra, you don't like what they've released, you don't like what they talk about, or the device itself, keep it. Because in addition to being the right move financially to get one of these to then trade in on an S23 Ultra, because I think even using it for 4 months before the S23 Ultra comes out, you're going to make money. You're also getting a phenomenal device that's held up incredibly well. And when you just break it down, this, to me, is still the second best camera system that Samsung has out there because of the versatility. And you're going to get a lot of the software stuff that the S22 Ultra has because they're going to be running the same software. This is up to date. This is running the September 2022 patch on Android 12 on this device. But you get the versatility of all those lenses, including the periscope zoom, which I thought, unlike a lot of the other stuff that's been added to camera stuff in the past few years, like the macro lenses, like there was some that air stuff that they had on there where the Note 10 Plus, you could write on a video in the air and then you pan back and it shows up whatever you wrote in the air. Unlike all that other camera nonsense for the past few years, there have been uses beyond creeper mode for the periscope zoom. It's September. There have been a lot of the harvest moons recently, just fantastic, huge moons on the horizon there. And when you try to take them with the 3x zoom of the iPhone, with the 2x zoom of some of these other devices, even with that, it looks like a little pea in the sky, and it's awful. It's not a good image. But you load up one of these bad boys with the periscope zoom, then you have something. So if you are somebody that likes those, if you're a camera nut on some of these phones, then this, to me, with the exception of the S22 Ultra, is the best camera system that's still out there in terms of versatility here in the United States that you could get, especially when you're talking about $489. And the other thing you get with this is that unlike the S20 Ultra, and unlike the iPhone that has the LiDAR and the 3D spatial stuff to try to focus images, you get a laser autofocus. And I've said this before. I said this going all the way back to the LG V20. I don't care about all of the nonsense that you have. I don't care 3D technology and all the rest of it. Give me a laser beam. Give me a laser beam that finds out directly how far something is away using light and focuses it in, because it's quick, it's efficient, and it's accurate with the laser autofocus. It's one of the best systems that you could have for that, because I'll tell you, those other systems don't do well on things like paper, on like thin things. When you're close in, they kind of cop out and go to the macro mode in order to zoom in. With a laser, you get exactly how far away it is, and the software does the rest. And because they had all those issues on the S20 Ultra, this one is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And still works well. Regular updates, you're still going to get them. Only about 18 months old now, so you're going to get plenty of updates well into the future. The performance is, listen, if you have to talk about performance of a Snapdragon 888 at this point, it's as snappy, as smooth, as fantastic as it could be performance-wise. This is just a great overall experience. The panel is second to none. Samsung is a great, vibrant panel. The 120 hertz is fluid and snappy. I'll tell you this phone continues to get better battery life than the S22 Ultra. They've done a better job optimizing the Snapdragon 888 processor to at least get some better battery life. Is it still phenomenal for the size of this battery? No, it should be a heck of a lot better. But I was starting out getting about 5 hours for this device of screen on time, and as the year progressed, and now into the future here, 2022, I've gotten 5.5. 5 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time, which is a significant difference. To me, that half hour, 45 minutes, it might be nitpicking. It might not matter to you. If you top off your phone during the day, if you need a whole heck of a lot more battery life than that, then this doesn't matter to you either way. But for me, that's kind of the point where I go from being concerned about my battery, not liking my battery life when we're sub 5 hours, which is still on most days where I am with my S22 Ultra, to being comfortable with my battery, to having 30% left easily at the end of the day, and not having to worry about the different idle drain and stuff that happens on the S22 Ultra. This phone handles idle drain a heck of a lot better than the S22 Ultra. You won't see the degradation of the battery life just sitting there. Screen off, no problems. You're on 5G, it doesn't matter. This drains less than the S22 Ultra. So you get the display. You get arguably, if you're not an S Pen fan, arguably the better design. Everybody loved this design coming off the S20, which was awful and ugly. This is fantastic. This is one of their better designs in years. It's a phenomenal build. I love the frosted silver that we have here. I love the design of the camera hump. I do think year over year now, having sat with the S22 for a while now, I do like this camera hump better. I do like this design language a heck of a lot better as we deal with hold on a second. Amazon truck decided they wanted to be part of the video. But when you're talking about the design, and I think that's been kind of it. Look, it's personal preference, but I think universally on the whole, a lot of people like this camera hump system better than some others. But between the battery life, between just the snappiness of it, between the fact that you're not going to be testing the Snapdragon 888 for a while, you're going to have all the RAM, you can get storage options if you want. Overall, if you're not an S Pen user, if you don't care about the S Pen, if you didn't care about it, if you were an S user all the way through and the notes never even tempted you whatsoever, then save a lot of money. You know, even when you're talking about newer ones, yeah, you can get it maybe sub 1,000. But if you could get this, and very similar, if not exactly the same day-to-day performance on the apps that you're going to be using. We're not going to be talking about it, and we've said, how fast can you scroll Instagram? How fast can you get on Twitter? How fast can you do all this stuff? And even Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, some of the higher refresh rate stuff that you'd want to test on this runs phenomenally well. You're not going to have an issue. You're not going to be testing it. It's going to be a couple years down the line before games are going to start testing the capabilities of even the Snapdragon 888. So if you could pick one of these up for $489, make yourself $150, $120, whatever it is, and have $170 on a trade-in for an S23 Ultra, you give yourself possibilities here. You either can trade it in, make a few bucks, get yourself the latest and greatest in January when it comes out, or you're perfectly well serviced here, you decide to keep it, and you wait even further down the line, get even more use out of it get more bang for your buck, and trade something in for the S24 Ultra a couple of years from now. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let me know how your year has been, year plus now, with the S21 Ultra, if it's held up in every way that you'd want it to performance-wise. I think it's solid. I think they did a better job. If I was comparing the S21 Ultra updates to the S22 Ultra updates, I think they've done a better job optimizing and locking in the S21 Ultra at this point in the year than they have with the S22 Ultra, given that, kind of 6-month window. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.